Overall #1 draft pick of pickpockets.
I'm the best.
You better be. Walk up to me and steal my wallet.
Good. I mean, it's ridiculous. I wouldn't have a guy come up to me in the street and ask me to steal his wallet. It doesn't work like that.
Just do it.
Okay. I'd walk up to the guy, avoid eye contact, step to the side, look him in the eye, and then I'd be gone.
Still there.
But the money's gone. See, I took the wallet the first time, then put it back the second, only without the money. It's all about the distraction. You were too busy watching me to see what I was doing.
Give me that. Sit down.
Shalom, 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 my brothers and sisters of the nation of Israel, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, the Israelites that the Bible speaks of. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm your brother Ananias for A.O.I, the Awakening of Israel. And as always, it's an honor and privilege to come before you to give you another edifying lesson. But before we get started, we want to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, Yahweh being the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai being his son, who the world ignorantly calls Christ, in the Paleo Hebrew, and through extreme sacrifice and example, we are all able to be here today to be uplifted and edified in the spirit. So shout out to you brothers and sisters for tuning in, and for those who will tune in later on, Lord willing. I appreciate you all as always. Continue to endure in this truth. For all you brothers and sisters, whether old or new in this truth, welcome, welcome, welcome. And we're going to get into it. And as you've seen in that video, I pulled that little clip to show you about what today's class is actually going into, dealing with distractions. Distractions are the things that are preventing us or preventing you or preventing us from being great. But that video was basically a short snippet showing you how when distracted, you will be taken, or your thing, or the things that make you great will be snatched away from you without you even paying attention or knowing it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we're going to dive into tonight. I'm talking about distractions, because a lot of us are distracted on a daily basis and don't even know it. Your enemy, our enemy, is predicated to making sure that we are distracted, that we don't wake up, that we don't stay in this truth, that we don't stay on fire, that we don't get out and put the work in to wake our brothers and sisters up, because they know they only got a short time. Satan knows, the devil knows he only has but a short time. So we out pulling every trick out the bag to make sure that we as a nation of people stay distracted. And while being distracted, it prevents us from reaching the kingdom, prevents us or prolongs us from reaching the kingdom or from being great in this life that we live, that we all so strive to be. We all want to be great. If you don't, you need to ask yourself, what are you doing then? If you don't want to be great, what are you here for? You're looking around, you're sitting around watching everybody else be great. Why don't you want to be great? What's slowing you down from being great? Or why don't you have that mindset to want to be great? These are the questions that we're going to dive into. But we're going to dive into it nonetheless. So let's go and get a definition of what an actual distraction is. If you know anything about me when I teach my class, I like to make sure that our brothers and sisters are aware of what's going on. And we don't just assume anything. We actually go into it, get a breakdown, an understanding of what we're talking about, so that when we teach or go on throughout the class, everybody's on the same page. And that's what the scriptures say. Be on one accord, one page, one mindset. All right. So make sure it's on the screen. All right. Distraction. This is the Merriam-Webster dictionary. It says a distraction is something that distracts, an object that directs one's attention away from something else. Amusement, the act of distracting or the state of being distracted. All right, now that's pretty much basic. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of the times we don't even realize that we're being distracted. You know, for instance, the main thing that distracts us as a nation of people is what? Cell phones. Cell phones. Think about how they have wired this thing to keep us distracted. I'm talking about every 5 minutes, it's a notification going off. If not every 30 seconds, it's some type of news, some notification from an app, somebody texting you, somebody calling you, a notification from a YouTube channel, whatever it may be. It's always something coming through this phone to keep you distracted, to keep you away from what you were supposed to be doing. Think about it. Just as a child, in a child's standpoint, you trying to study, you know, the phone going off, or some song you want to hear keeps popping up, or your friend keeps calling you, texting you. You can't get your studying. Therefore, when it comes test time, you end up failing and you wonder why. You say, I sat in front of the book all day. I wrote down everything, but why did I fail? Because you were distracted. And that's what your enemy is planning on, keeping you distracted so that you fail, so that your attention is actually taken away from what it should be focused on. Just like an adult, same thing. You know, we get caught up and distracted in the ways and the cares of this world, where we get distracted and forget about the important things that we're supposed to be focusing on. Like the main one that the scriptures tell us to do with our children, which is to sit down day in and day out and teach them diligently. That's according to Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 7. Teach them when they wake up about the commandments, while they're walking around about the commandments, when you out and about about the commandments, and before we lay down talking about the commandments. But we somehow get distracted by the different social media platforms, what's on TV, the bills, jobs, you know, that we get distracted. And next thing you know, days, weeks, months, and years that went by, and we've been distracted so long that a lot of time has been lost, where the child that went through years without being taught anything. So they get to a certain age and you wonder why they can't perform, or why are they making the decisions that they make. It's because we as parents have been distracted. You know, I myself am guilty of that as well. You know, we have to buckle down and realize when we are being distracted. Let me give you some synonyms right quick. Synonyms for the word distraction. It says bamboozlement. That's a nice word right there. Bewilderness, confusion, head scratching, fog, confuseness, bafflement, befuddlement, discombobulation, perplexity, puzzlement, tangle, whirl. All of these different things to show you that you have been distracted. When you are confused and don't know which way to go, how to handle a situation, how to teach, to uplift, to motivate. When you can't see straight because of the fog or the foolishness that lies before you, you're puzzled, tangled in your thoughts, in your feelings. You know, you feel like you're going through some type of maze in life. That's because you're being distracted. When you read the scriptures, everything is pretty much plain. All you got to do is keep the commandments as an Israelite, and everything will open up and be laid out just like a fresh paved road outside. It'll let you know which road you need to travel and what not to pay attention to, or what not to entertain. But we as a nation of people, we have fallen short and fail to realize that we are being distracted, or what an actual distraction is, you know? And it's basically a temptation, to sum it up. It's a temptation, even though it's confusion, fog, mystification, perplexity. At the end of the day, it's temptation that we don't know which way to go. Should we go that route? It's about choices. You know what I'm saying? Let me show you something else right quick. All right. This is the path that we all want to choose or travel on, a path to greatness, the road to greatness. But sometimes along that path, bear with me right quick, we must understand that it's going to be rough roads for us to travel on. That can be a distraction for some. Going through potholes, you know, you're tire busting, you're getting tired, you're getting fatigued. On your destination to greatness, it's not going to be an easy route all the time. You know, it's not going to be easy. Matter of fact, it's going to be rough. You're going to have your good days, your bad days, but it's going to be a rough road to get there. But it depends on your mindset. You either striving for excellence or you're going to remain in the mediocrity on the basic or the average level. But if you, like me, you want to be great in life, you want your people to be great, you're going to be striving to stay on that rough road, striving for excellence every day. But along that way, once again, sometimes you're going to come to roadblocks. The same road you've been traveling for a long time, sometimes that road going to be closed, where you're going to be forced to take a detour. And what's the detour? A detour is something that's actually going to make your path a little bit longer. You know what I'm saying? Bear with me, Israel. All right. So on that detour, sometimes it'll have you going all around the world because you don't know where you're going. You're not used to traveling off of the known path. Sometimes you have to travel off that known path in order to become great, to learn extra things that will help strengthen you along the way to your destiny. You're going to go through certain detours, but along the way, you must stay focused. You got to remember, why did you start? Why did you start? Just like us being in this truth. Did we start to make money? Did we start to make friends? Did we start just for the hell of it? No, we started for one reason only, to reach the kingdom. Because we realize now that the kingdom was actually for us. We realize now that we got to put in work. We got to travel a road that's got fire on one end and deep water on the other. But it's a narrow path, a straight, narrow line that we all got to travel to get to the kingdom. And along the way, we're going to have to put in work. It's going to be a rough road. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be peaches and cream, cotton candy and rainbows. It ain't going to be that, you know. Like I said, we got a destination to travel to. But when we started, we got to remember why. And then we got to build ourselves up along the way. Even though we're going to run into roadblocks, detours, we got to remember why we started and stay focused, because these distractions in life will keep you or prolong you reaching your destination, you know? So no distractions. Now, let me get out of this. And what I want to do now is go to 1 Corinthians. Make sure we're on the screen. All right. So like I said, phone just keep buzzing. I'm thinking it's something important, but it's foolishness. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. There have no temptation taken you, but such as common to man. But Yahweh is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it. So what is this saying right here? That there ain't no temptation, nor distraction, confusion, any type of thing that's gonna pull you away from your destination that no man has ever been through. That ain't common to man. Though you may think it's something new, every every sister going through the same type of temptations. You know what I'm saying? To stay faithful, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's to this truth, whether it's to your family, you know, and whatever it is in your life that you're trying to do, distractions happen to everybody. It's just that we have to stay focused as Israelites because we have a real goal at hand: the kingdom, rulership, immortality. You know what I'm saying? But it also says, but Yahweh is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that you are able. So whatever you are being tempted with or distracted with, the Lord ain't gonna put more on the plate than what you can handle. You might say, well, man, my weakness is women. You can handle that. Man, I gotta have that money. You can handle that. Well, man, my family this, my family that. You can handle that. You know, any distraction, anything that's put on your plate, guess what, brothers and sisters? You can handle it. The Lord ain't gonna put it on your plate if you couldn't. You know? Think about that. But will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it. So even with that cell phone in your hand, with that TV in your hand, the Lord gonna make a way for you to escape from that. Simply put it down, turn it off, that you can escape that temptation. Flee from sin. Flee from Satan, from the devil, and he will leave for a season. He'll be back, but he'll leave for a season. Paraphrase. That you may be able to bear it. You know when you're doing right or wrong. We all know these things. That flesh is weak, but your spirit know what's right and what's wrong. But you can handle it. It's just most of us ain't built like that. You know? And that's the continual fight that we got to push through day in and day out. You know? Moving on, I'm going to go to Isaiah chapter 30, verse 3. Book of Isaiah chapter 30, verse 3. And it reads, therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. So that's going into what? The technology of this world that we living in. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh. Pharaoh was the king of Egypt. That's what a Pharaoh is, a king of Egypt, king in Egypt. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. So you trusted in the ways of this world, especially here in Babylon the Great, which is spiritually called Egypt. You know, according to Revelation 8 and 11. Sodom and Egypt to us as a nation. So we trusted in these things and our technology, and that's actually our confusion. How great it is you can pick up the phone and be able to talk to somebody on the other side of the world. But at the same time, you'll skip right over everything that's important just to stay glued to what's in your hand. Where it's hard for you to even have a conversation because you constantly scrolling, checking your notifications on one thing that's in the palm of your hand. You know, phone, technology, foolishness, distractions. All right. From there, I'm going to go to James chapter 3. Don't be caught up with the distractions of this world, brothers and sisters. Put the damn phone down. Talk to your family. Build your family up. Pay attention. Keep your head up. See what's actually going on. How many accidents happen on a day-to-day basis because folks is distracted by their phone? Think about that. We'll go to James chapter 3, verse 16. For where envying and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work. What did we read earlier that a distraction was? Confusion. Confusion. It's another word, a synonym for distraction. Confusion. Going back, James chapter 3, verse 16. For where envy and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work. Now, us as a nation of people, what do we love? They say we love chicken and watermelon, but one of the main things that we love is mess, foolishness. We love that, envy and strife. That's why they put on Love and Hip Hop, Basketball Wives, foolishness, Real Housewives of Atlanta, things of that nature. That's what we love to see on social media. When you look at videos speaking and teaching on the truth, on the word of the Most High, you don't see a lot of views on it, like we should, because that's information that's actually restoring us as a nation. But what do we see? You see videos of brothers and sisters popping balloons, millions of views. Ain't no edification in that. Brothers and sisters fighting on World Star, millions of views. They loving it. Our people eating it up, eating it up. For where envying and strife is, there is confusion, meaning distraction, and every evil work. You see that? So it's going to be evil in the midst of that when you being distracted. Evil. When you turn on your social media, you're sitting there, you're scrolling, you're looking at pranks, jokes, you're laughing, you're giggling. Meanwhile, you neglecting the time to be reading, to be studying, to be building your family up. You sitting there laughing and giggling while time wasting. Laughing and giggling, and you know it's things that need to be done. You don't want to work out. Say, I ain't got time, but you spending an hour and hours on top of hours every day watching social media. Confusion. Body breaking down, you don't know why. That's confusion, that's distraction. Because you paying more attention to what's in the palm of your hand. Instead of, that's the word I'm looking for, instead of actually being vigilant, alert, paying attention to the things around you. Mainly your body, because if you ain't got health, you ain't got nothing. The Bible tell you that, you know? So we as a people, we love mess, and that's actually a distraction. And what normally comes out of it? Death. People getting locked up. Think about that. Hatred. It said that every evil work shall be there during that distraction. That's why we got to be vigilant, paying attention. Let me go to First Ezra right quick. Chapter 5, verse 70. Because whether or not you know it, brothers and sisters, when we are distracted, it hinders your building. It prevents you from being great. And your enemy knows that. I'm going to show you. Let's go to the book of First Ezra, chapter 5, verse 70. It reads, Then Zerubbabel and Jesus and the chief of the families of Israel said unto them, It is not for us and you to build together a house unto the Lord our God. So what's going on right here? When you read the book of First Ezra, chapter 5, we were coming back into the land to rebuild the temple, to rebuild and fortify our nation, our temple. All right. So when we were doing such things, the other nations heard us celebrating while we were building it back up. And they came to see if they could help us build, saying, hey, we want to help too. We want to serve your God too. But our forefathers, hey, that ain't for you. We're going to build unto the house our Lord. All right, it says, we ourselves will build unto the Lord of Israel, according as Cyrus, the king of the Persians, have commanded us. But the heathen, for those who don't know, the heathen or anybody outside of the nation of Israel, the heathen of the land, lying heavy upon the inhabitants of Judea and holding them straight, hindered the building. So because we told them, hey, nah, that's for us, this ain't got nothing to do with you, they decided to hinder the building. And by their secret plots, your social media platforms, your TV, your commercial ads, your movies, and popular persuasion, your music, and commotions, they hindered the finishing of the building all the time that King Cyrus lived. So they were hindered from building for the space of 2 years until the reign of Darius. Now you see that? We were dealing with the foolishness, the secret plots of the other nations. Just like we still dealing with that today as we trying to rebuild our nation. You know, you on social media, especially Facebook. There's so many bugged out doctrines on there, it's unreal. You know, you got people on there saying Yahushua never existed, or if we serve him or acknowledge him, we in idolatry. You know, you got some in the Christian world saying, hey, the laws of God are done away with. You got some saying, hey, all people can get the kingdom. It's all type of bugged out doctrines out there that hindering the building of our brothers and sisters, of our nation of people. Popular persuasion. And the heathen, they know these things. You can read about that in Psalm 70. Let me go there right quick. Psalms 83, it wasn't what I had written down or planned, but let me go to it right quick just to prove to you that I'm not just making this up. This is actually scriptural, biblical. Psalms 83, I'm going to start at verse 2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. Then it goes into listing who all is against us: Edom, Ishmaelites, Moab, the Hagarenes, Gebal, Ammon, Amalek, Philistines, Tyre. You see that? So it's a lot of nations that have conspired against the children of Israel to do what? Hinder the building, to make sure that we are not a nation anymore. That's why you ain't never learned about an Israelite in all your school career. All the time you was at church, at your jobs, going to college, you never heard anything about an Israelite, but you heard everything else. It's a reason for that. Secret plots and popular persuasions and commotions. That's that mess. Those are the rumors of war that you see on TV. Your Donald J. Trump assassination attempts, your Biden stepping down. That's your persuasions and commotion. That's what we are distracted by. We in politics. We caught up in that rather than the word of the Most High, learning his law, statutes, and commandments, learning our history. We put time into politics. We put time into things that make no sense. That will not help us. Trying to go to these colleges as if that's going to bring us together as a nation of people. Nah, we ain't doing nothing but perpetuating their system. That's what we're doing. Continuing on in their system that they put in place. Day in and day out. But we're not taking time to build ourselves up or our people. But when you read this, our brothers and sisters was putting that work in, brick by brick, to the point where they was out there putting the wall up with a sword in their hand. A sword in one hand and the other hand free to work. Even though they were being hindered by the other nations. They understood the mission to keep building. But a lot of us, we done lost touch with what the actual goal is because we have been distracted. I'm gonna play another video right quick just to show you something else about these cell phones and how they disrupt and mislead our people. All right. This is exactly what the majority of us do. Pay attention closely. This is exactly what your enemy wants. You have to focus harder, day in and day out. Look at his face. Time that went by, he got older. I know it was some Edomites, but the message is still the same. We being distracted. Years go by, and you turn around and you look and you say, damn, I can't believe they this old. It was just the other day, they was learning how to tie their shoe. Now they walking out the door. We being distracted. Got to stay focused at all times. Let me put this back on the screen right quick. All right. We're going to go to the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 2, verse 15. 2 Timothy, chapter 2, verse 15. Why am I bringing this out? Because this is the reason why or how you would be able to detect the different distractions going on around you. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15, it says, study to show thyself approved unto Yahweh, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So by you studying, you will understand that your enemy is plotting against you day in and day out to keep you distracted, to destroy your family, to destroy you. You will understand these things. Before coming into this truth, you would not understand that you had enemies. You didn't know that you was great. You were destined to be great, that the kingdom was for you. Why? Because you had been distracted, blinded. So now that you understand, you had an opportunity to have the scales removed from your eye, the lint and all the hair cleaned out of your ear, all the gunk, all the earwax that been building up, that been blocking you from hearing the truth. Now you got an opportunity, to hear this truth. Now you must study to show yourself approved to the Most High, that He actually made a good decision by waking you up, by allowing you to receive this truth. That's what you need to be doing so that you can learn yourself to see what the distractions are. Show it to your family, to your kid, and to your brothers and sisters of the nation of Israel, so that they can rightly divide the word of truth, to understand what's going on and be able to stand against the woes of this world, to stand tall in this truth, to stand boldly for the word of the Most High. You know, that's why we got to study. Reading. In order to study, you have to read. You know, that's what we must do. I'm going to go to 2 Corinthians chapter 10. 2 Corinthians chapter 10. We're going to go to verse 4. And it reads, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God, pulling down of strongholds. All right. So we need to understand through studying that our battle is not carnal. It's not about how many cars we got, how much money we got, how many women we with, how many times we've been married, how many times we've been divorced, how many stocks I own, you know, how many vacations, how many countries I done been to. That don't mean anything. We in a spiritual warfare right now. And one of the main tactics that your enemy uses is to keep you distracted. Think about this. Those are the true, what I want to use, true aspects of the art of war. I put it that way, to keep you distracted. You see it all the time in movies and cartoons when they use diversions to keep them distracted so that they can destroy them. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Yahweh to pulling down of strongholds. So we must realize that. I'm going to go to 2 Corinthians 13 and 5. 2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 5, and it reads, examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. So that's the main thing you got to do day in and day out. You got to examine yourself and realize or ask yourself, was I distracted today? What kept me from reaching my goals that I set today? If you even had anything set for the day. And that's another problem that we as a nation of people must change. We can't just wake up every day and go through the motions. We got to have goals set in mind, things we want to constantly obtain, striving for greatness. You know, can't just wake up every day and, oh, well, it's time to go to work. Grab your little lunch pail with your apple and your juicy juice, you know, and your damn Subway sandwich, and you just head out the door. All right, honey. You go to work, you do the same old every day. You're not striving to grow, build. You ain't got no goals, no ambition. You're distracted. Your mind is just focused on paying bills. You're not even focused on your own health, building your family up. Why do you have those things then? You know, if you're not focused on making them better, what is the point? That's why the Lord said, examine yourself. Look yourself in the mirror. Sit down and have that heart to heart with yourself. What the hell am I doing? How am I making myself better every day? Am I just going through the motions? Am I just doing what's comfortable for me? You need to examine yourself to see whether you be in the faith. Is this what Yahweh woke me up for every day, just to go through the motions? Did he bring me to this truth just so I can keep going through the same old, keep complaining, wasting time every day? Prove your own self. Prove to yourself that the Lord woke you up for better things, for greatness in life. Prove to yourself that you can be great for your family, for yourself, for your nation. Know ye not your own selves how that Yahweh Shah Mashiach is in you, except ye be reprobates. That's why you got to examine yourself to see where your mind is daily, where your spirit is at. Am I slipping out? Am I falling out of this truth? Do I not have the same zeal for the Lord? What's going on? Why don't I have that zeal anymore? Why am I more focused on things of the world than on the Lord? Why is it that I can't work out the problems with my brothers and sisters? Why am I creating things in my mind? Why am I so agitated all the time? Why is it that I can't find myself to bring myself to terms into what's going on in my life, or actually speak to my brothers and sisters to get help? The Lord said, examine yourself. Otherwise, if you ain't doing that, you damn near reprobate, meaning you getting ready to head back into the world and be a damn brute beast like you were beforehand. Just like Nebuchadnezzar was. He got prideful. The Lord put him outside the kingdom, took the kingdom from him for years. He out there roaming around in the land like a damn beast. A reprobate mind. Think about that. But I'm going to go to Matthew chapter 24. 24 and 42. I don't have much left, but Matthew chapter 24. Lord willing, you paying attention and ain't just sitting there shaking your head or playing on your phone, being distracted. You know, you're actually paying attention and learning something. This is Matthew chapter 24, verse 42. It says, watch therefore. That's the part about being distracted. You got to watch. Why? For ye know not what hour your Lord doeth come. So you ask questions like, hey, what if the Lord came back right now? Is this what I want him to see? Am I putting forth my best effort? You got to watch for the distractions that constantly plaguing you from being great and doing the work. Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour the Lord doeth come. Every day you should be striving to get better, to learn more about who you are, who your people are, how to better inform them, how to serve the Lord better, how to pray better. All of these things you should be doing day in and day out. If you ain't doing that, you watching movies, you jamming the music all the time, you just want to exercise all the time, you want to do everything but serve the Lord, hey, where your mind gonna be, or what predicament you're gonna be when they do crack this guy? Because you don't know when he coming back, you know? Man, I'm good, I'm straight. All right. The Lord told you to keep watch. Remember that. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 25 and 28. Proverbs chapter 25, verse 28. And it reads, he that have no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls. Now, you might ask, why in the hell did he go get this? Because we're going to show you an example through the testimony as to this scripture right here come to or being manifest. Because you have to have rule over your spirit. And that's what your enemy, the heathen, are plotting on. Satan is plotting on that you don't have rule, meaning discipline over your own spirit, knowing that you can be broken down at any minute. from a distraction, a diversion. So you have to be disciplined in this truth and in your walk in life and whatever it is that you want to be great in. You want to be a great businessman, which is foolishness, but you want to be a great businessman, hey, you got to have discipline. You got to have rule over your spirit, because all types of temptations, distractions are going to come your way to try to detour you or set you up where when you do become successful, that distraction that you, or that temptation that you fell for in time past, will come up and bite you in the head and ruin everything that you were fighting for. Think about it. All right. Let me go to the book of Joshua right quick to give you an example through the testimonies as to what I'm talking about. The book of Joshua, chapter 8. Bear with me. And the Lord said unto Joshua, fear not, be thou dismayed. Take all the people of war with thee, and arise. Go up to A.I. See, I have given into thy hand the king of A.I. and his people, and his city, and his land. And thou shalt do to A.I. and her king as thou didst unto Jericho and her king. Only the spoil thereof and the cattle thereof shall ye take for a prey unto yourselves. Lay thee an ambush for the city behind it. So make sure that you're following along, because this is a good read right here. This is about your forefathers, our forefathers, and how we were actually kicking ass with the Lord on our side. Verse 3. So Joshua arose and all the people of war to go against A.I. And Joshua chose out 30,000 men of valor and sent them away by night. And he commanded them, saying, behold, ye shall lie in wait against the city, even behind the city. Go not very far from the city, but be ye all ready. So he was telling these men, which was 30,000, to go behind this city of A.I. All right. And I and all the people that are with me will approach unto the city, and it shall come to pass when they come out against us, as at the first, that we will flee before them. For they will come out after us till we have drawn them from the city. But they will say, they flee before us, as at the first, therefore we will flee before them. So this is part of the plan right now. You're going to have 30,000 men to hide behind the city. And we, the rest of us, going to go to the front of the city and draw them out and then take off running. All right. A diversion, if you will. Then ye shall rise up from the ambush and seize upon the city, for the Lord your God will deliver it into your hand. And it shall be, when ye have taken the city, that ye shall set the city on fire. According to the commandment of the Lord shall ye do. See, I have commanded you. Joshua therefore sent them forth, and they went to lie in ambush and abode between Bethel and A.I. And on the west side of A.I., but Joshua lodged that night among the people. And Joshua rose up early in the morning and numbered the people, and went up, he and the elders of Israel, before the people to A.I. And all the people, even the people of war that were with him, went up and drew nigh, and came before the city, and pitched on the north side of A.I. Now there was a valley between them and A.I. So now he taking the people, he moving into the front part of this city. And he took about 5,000 men and set them to lie in the ambush between Bethel and A.I. on the west side of the city. All right. So now you got two different stations with different men now. All right. And when they had set the people, even all the hosts that was on the north of the city and their lies in the wait on the west of the city, Joshua went that night into the midst of the valley. And it came to pass, when the king of A.I. saw it, that they hasted and rose up early, and the men of the city went out against Israel to battle, he and all his people, at a time appointed before the plain. But he wished not that there were liars in ambush against him behind the city. So he took all his men and he went out to fight against Israel, not knowing that it was men behind him, waiting in an ambush. And Joshua and all Israel made as if they were beaten before them and fled by the way of the wilderness. So they acted as if they were afraid of them and took off running. And all the people that were in Ai were called together to pursue after them. And they pursued after Joshua and were drawn away from the city. And there was not a man left in Ai or Bethel that went not out after Israel. And they left the city open and pursued after Israel. You see that? That's the art of war right there. One of them that they learned from us. But he drew everybody out of the city and left the city wide open, pursuing after us. And the Lord said unto Joshua, stretch out the spear that is in thy hand toward Ai, for I will give it into thy hand. And Joshua stretched out the spear that he had in his hand toward the city. And the ambush arose quickly out of their place, and they ran as soon as he had stretched out his hand. And they entered into the city and took it and hasted and set it on fire. And when the men of Ai looked behind them, they saw, and behold, the smoke of the city ascended up to heaven, and they had no power to flee this way or that way. And the people that fled to the wilderness turned back upon the pursuers. And when Joshua and all Israel saw the ambush had taken the city, and that the smoke of the city ascended, then they turned again and slew the men of Ai. You see that? And the other issued out of the city against them. So they were in the midst of Israel, some on this side and some on that side. And they smote them, so that they let none of them remain or escape. You see that? That's genius right there. That's real warfare right there. Guerrilla warfare for you. We had men everywhere stationed in different locations to trap these folks, so that when they realized that their city was being burnt, there was nowhere for them to turn around and run back to. We had them in caves. All right. And the king of Ai, they took alive and brought him to Joshua. And it came to pass when Israel had made an end of slaying all the inhabitants of Ai in the field, in the wilderness wherein they chased them, and when they were all fallen by the edge of the sword, until they were consumed, that all the Israelites returned unto Ai and smote it with the edge of the sword. This is why these other nations are so hell-bent on making sure that we don't realize who we are, because we'll pull moves like this on them to take over their kingdom or take over this world. All right. Is that where I want to stop? I'm going to go to 29. And it was so that all that fell that day, both men and women, were 12,000, even all the men of Ai. But Joshua drew not his hand back, wherewith he stretched out the spear until he had utterly destroyed all the inhabitants of Ai. Only the cattle and the spoil of the city Israel took for a prey unto themselves, according unto the word of the Lord which he commanded Joshua. And Joshua burnt Ai and made it a heap forever, even a desolation unto this day. And the king of Ai he hanged on a tree until eventide. And as soon as the sun was down, Joshua commanded that they should take his carcass down from the tree and cast it at the entering of the gate of the city, and raise thereon a great heap of stones that remaineth unto this day. So you see how we use the art of war to distract them, to give a diversion, to draw them out, to burn their city, and then trap them as a nation of people to destroy them. Think about it. That's your history, Israel. So you don't think that your enemy is using that same tactic on you today? You'd be foolish as hell not to believe that. Your enemy knows how dangerous you are or will be when you stand up and raise back up to the status that you were created to be in. Your enemy knows this. So he's trying hard as hell to keep you dumbfounded, to keep you blinded to the fact as to who you are or what the truth is. You know? So one of the things you got to do is study. And Psalm 119, verse 15 say, I will meditate in thy precepts and have respect unto thy ways. You know, we got to meditate on them precepts day in and day out to understand what we supposed to be doing, what will happen to the enemy, and how the Lord will help us in times of trouble so that we don't become distracted and become an easy prey to these other nations as we are in that state of mind right now, or state of being right now. We got to meditate day in and day out and have respect unto the Lord's ways, not having a slothful mentality, the bottom of the barrel mentality, the mediocre mentality when it comes to serving the Lord, meditating and studying, praying to the Lord. You got to have respect unto thy ways, because the commandments and the way, or our heritage, is following his commandments, our way of being. We go to Psalm 71 and 1 right quick. Psalms chapter 71, verse 1. And it reads, "In thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. Let me never be put to confusion." You see that? What's confusion again? A synonym for distraction. Don't let me be distracted, Lord. I trust in you. Don't let me fall into distraction, confusion, bamboozlement. What else they had? Bewilderedness, bafflement, discombobulation. We gotta trust in the Lord and put our trust in him day in and day out while striving to be great, you know. Why? Because the Lord, he ain't the author of confusion. That's Satan working right there. Even though Satan worked for the Lord, he ain't the author of that. Understand that. Let me go to 1 Corinthians. One more again. 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 33. 1 Corinthians 14:33. And it reads, "For Yahweh is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints." So we need to be aware through studying. We understand that our enemy is the author of confusion. The Lord ain't put us down here to be confused, distracted, bewildered, you know, in a fog. The Lord wanted us to be here in peace, ruling over these other nations, being an example to the heathen, being basically him on earth as a nation, you know. Think about it. He's not the author of confusion. It's going to be my last precept. Proverbs chapter 2, verse 20. Proverbs chapter 2, verse 20. So knowing that we on a path to righteousness or a path to greatness, we know that through studying and prayer that we're going to be tempted. An attempt going to be made to distract us, you know. But knowing that these things are going to happen, we know through the precepts that what? The Lord ain't going to put nothing on our plate that we can't handle as a nation or individually, you know. So we go to Proverbs 2 and 20, and it reads, "That thou mayest walk in the way of good men and keep the path of the righteous." So we got to stay on that righteous path by keeping these commandments, staying prayed up, you know, having the faith in the Lord, trusting and loving our brothers and sisters, serving Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh day in and day out, you know, with one mindset, which is reaching the kingdom, you know. That's what it's all about, Israel. You know, but on that note, I just want to let you know that remember that every distraction is a choice. And so is every moment of focus. So on that path to greatness, we got to realize that we chasing greatness and we got to stay focused. And life is about choices. So what you choose to do with the next hour, your next day, your next week, your next month, that determines your path to greatness. But don't be distracted. I'm your brother Ananias for A.O.I, the Awakening of Israel. And I appreciate you brothers and sisters tuning in as always. Don't get caught up by the weapons of mass destruction, which is the social media, the wiles of this world. You know what I'm saying? Don't get caught up by these things. Stay focused. No distractions. Keep pushing day in and day out for greatness, for the kingdom, for your people. But as always, I appreciate everybody tuning in, and those who will tune in, Lord willing. If you haven't already, hit that like button, share this content, because I know it's brothers and sisters that need this. They need this message, need this edification. But on that note, I say shalom, shalom, peace and greetings to you all, and all respect and honor is given to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. And on that note, I'll see you next time, and I'm out.